Hello, hola, and welcome to the 2023 Carlam Cymru lessons. This session is Spanish GCSE. It's part of this year's series on recycling language, role plays, and expressing an opinion. So the session today will focus on recycling language, specifically for the oral and written exams, although obviously it can benefit you for all aspects of the Spanish GCSE exams. So, hola, soy Senora Pritchard, and I work at Ysgol Gymraeg Bro Dir. El objetivo es cómo reciclar el idioma para su uso en el examen oral y escrito. So the objective today will focus on recycling language for use in the oral and written exams for Spanish GCSE. So what I want to focus on today is showing you how, once you've learned a bank of sentences, language, adjectives, and so on, they can be recycled for use in all aspects of the Spanish GCSE exam. So when you've learned a sentence, vocabulary, or a grammatical point, you can recycle the language for use in various circumstances. So let's have a little look how to do this effectively. So if we look first of all at the oral exam, there are three elements to the oral exam. You have the role play, the photo cards, and the conversation. And in these three elements, you will have to speak about different themes. There are 16 themes altogether, so you would have to prepare language, sentences, and so on each of those themes, because obviously in the exam, we don't know what's going to come up for each of those elements. Similarly, the same themes will come up in the written exam. So anything that you've prepared for the oral exam, for the speaking exam, you can recycle and reuse this information then in the written exam, which is usually the last of the summer GCSE Spanish exams. So if I take a sentence, for example, es importante comer sano. So it's important to eat healthily. So the structure there that can be reused is es importante, it's important. And then that's followed by an infinitive of a verb, so comer, to eat. And then sano is healthily. So this, you would say, would be related to food and drink, or health and fitness, and so on. So if we look at another sentence with the same starter, we have es importante estudiar para los exámenes. So it's important to study for the exams. So this would be linked to school studies, or maybe post-16 studies. Again, using es importante, and again using infinitive, estudiar, but just on a different theme. I can go on. So there's another example, es importante mantenerse en forma. So it's important to keep fit. We have a reflexive verb there, mantenerse en forma. We have es importante aprender idiomas. It's important to learn languages. So aprender is to learn. Es importante reciclar. It's important to recycle, and that again now could be linked to the environment. So as you can see, when you learn a key structure, you could say a sentence starter, then you can use that then for various themes within the exam, and you can use it for the speaking and for the writing exams. And as I said, it would also benefit you in the reading and listening exams too. So there are lots and lots of key structures that would be useful to learn in the exam. So what I've done here, just put a couple of them in for you to have a little look at. So we have es importante, we've just seen that one. Hay que, we must. So again, you could reuse some of the sense we just saw. So hay que reciclar, hay que mantenerse en forma. So you have to do those things. Creo que, I think that, I believe that. To use for starting a sentence. Me interesa, so something that you're interested in. And again, that could be a noun, it could be a verb. Me gustaría, I would like to. So you've got the conditional tense coming in there. Diría que, I would say that, again, conditional tense. Lo más importante es, the most important thing is, sé que, I know that, and I, there is, or there are. Now, any of these sentences there could be turned into a negative as well. So, no es importante, no hay que, no creo que, no me interesa, no me gustaría, etc. Okay, so you can use those then in the negative form. You have to be careful sometimes with subjunctive, but I don't think that's too much of a worry at the GCSE level. The second column then we have también, also, sin embargo, however, and desafortunadamente. And these are really useful for linking sentences together. If you want to say more than one thing, or you want to give an opposing opinion or point of view, then that would be great. And obviously you can put afortunadamente in the positive form as well. Another important thing to learn would be time phrases, such as la semana pasada, ayer, el año pasado, and so on, just to show that you can talk about the past tense. And the same thing for the future. So mañana, el año próximo, un día, just to be able to talk about the future as well. Se dice que is one says that, and it's nice to bring in other people's opinions. So you could say, mi madre dice que, my mum says that, to show other people's opinions. Personalmente, personally, again, it's nice to introduce in your point of view. Mi colegio ideal sería, my ideal school would be. And again, just by changing colegio, you could say, mi deporte ideal sería, mi asignatura ideal sería. So you could change that for your ideal subject, your ideal teacher, your ideal uniform, your ideal holiday, your ideal hotel, and so on. So once you've learned the set structure, you can just switch in and out various words then, just to change the theme. Espero is I hope. And then we've got fui a, I went to, so we've got the past tense coming in. So just write yourselves a list of sentence structures, and then once you've learned those, you can recycle and reuse them for various themes. So what are the themes? ¿Cuáles son los temas? I'm sure you've seen this list of themes before in school. So there are three main columns. We have identity and culture, Wales and the world, and current and future study and employment. And I've put here, es importante prepararse para todos los temas y aspectos del examen, hablar, escuchar, leer y escribir. So you need to prepare for all of these themes. You can't afford to miss anything out, because when you think of all the different elements of the exam, I mean, in the speaking exam, you've got three elements. You have the role play, the photo card, and the conversation. In the writing exam, you'll have 2 written tasks and a translation. In the reading, you'll have a variety of reading tasks and also a translation. And then in the listening again, you've got another variety of themes. So it's really important that you prepare for all of these themes. And for, like I said, all aspects of the exam. What you'll find is, which is great, is once you've prepared for one theme, that can help you with other themes in this list. So for example, if you look at the theme of travel and transport, when you've learned key phrases and vocabulary for this theme, it can then also help you with lots of other themes. So for example, your local area, what is the transport like where you live? You could talk about transport in Spain. Holidays and tourism, how do you go on holidays? The consequences for the environment, so which modes of transport are good or bad for the environment. School life, how do you get to school? Your future, where would you like to work in the future maybe, and how would you travel to work? We have things like entertainment and leisure, so maybe traveling could be a hobby or something you enjoy, and so on. Okay, so when you've learned one theme, just remember that all of the themes link together and support one another. So if we just take a quick look at viajes y transporte, so travel and transport, for example, The WJC have kindly put together a bank of these knowledge organisers, which are really useful. And you can use these then. For example, they've got some questions with some possible answers. They've got vocabulary and verbs and set phrase adjectives here, which can really help you. So I would advise you to download these and use them as part of your revision. And if you look at last year's Carlam Cymru, I did a session on how to use these effectively last year, if you wanted to have a little look at that from 2022. And remember, the topics overlap and they are related. Right, okay. Aquí hay un ejemplo. So let's have a little look at an example of how to prepare for one of the themes. So we look first of all at empleo, so employment. And yet again, there will be a knowledge organizer on this theme on the WJC website. So here's an example of a role play on employment. So the setting is you were talking to your Spanish friend about work. Your teacher will play the part of your friend. So the things that you will be asked to do is say what job you would like to do in the future. So you've got the future tense there. Give your opinion on part-time work. And again, this year I've prepared a session on giving opinions. So you could have a little look at that to help you. Ask your friend if he or she likes his or her job, and you will have to ask a question in the role play, and say what you did recently to earn money. So you've got a little bit of the past tense coming in there. And also one of my colleagues has prepared a session on role plays this year. So you may want to have a little look at that, and that really help you preparing for the role play element of the speaking exam. So you can see the types of things you'll need to do there for the role play. We've also then got an example of a photo card. So as well as talking about the photo, they've asked you, ¿cuáles son tus mejores cualidades? ¿Por qué describirlas? So it's personal qualities is still linked to employment, because when you talk about employment, part of that is saying what personal qualities you have that would be suited to a job that you would be applying for. So that's really important as well. So that's an example of the photo card. And also there will be 2 further questions, and very possibly linked to enterprise employability and future plans. Okay. Employment could also come up in the conversation. So, in the conversation, you get a choice of 2 topics and you'll choose one. So employment could come up there as a conversation task. Here's an example of a written task on employment. So, escribe una carta, escribe información y opiniones sobre tu trabajo, tu jefe, your boss, y lo que te gusta o no te gusta. So this is one of the foundation tier papers where you have to write about a job and your boss and what you like and dislike about your job. Remember, and I tell my pupils this all the time, you don't have to tell the truth. Okay, you can create an imaginary job, an imaginary boss that you would talk about, and you don't always have to say the truth. And an example of a translation. So this one says, it is necessary to think about the future. I believe that experience and personal qualities are useful. Last year, I worked as a volunteer cleaning the local beaches. There is too much unemployment in many places on the coast, and the government should do more to create jobs for young people. So it's quite a tricky translation task there. It's a higher tier task. But again, you can see the same types of sentences that are needed for each of those various tasks on employment. So what I suggest you do now is just to write a bank of sentences on various aspects of employment, looking at personal skills and post-16 studies and so on, and then putting them together so that once you have that bank of sentences, you can use them to revise for the role play, for the photo card, for the conversation, for the written exam, for the translation, and so on. So it could be really, really useful for you. I'm going to show you an example. This doesn't cover everything. It's just a simple example. But if I were you, I would look at all those different elements and try to include as much information as possible into your preparatory work. So this is an example. Después de dejar el colegio, Espero continuar mis estudios en la universidad. Como trabajo, me gustaría ser contador o trabajar en un banco, porque las matemáticas me interesan mucho. Además, quiero ganar mucho dinero. Soy muy inteligente y trabajador y el año pasado hice una práctica laboral en un banco para adquirir experiencia. Fue realmente interesante y útil. Aprende mucho. Además, tengo un trabajo el sábado por la mañana en una tienda de la ciudad y mi jefe dice que soy muy educado y amable. So if we look at this, we have what I hope to do after leaving school to go to study in university, what job I would like to do or where I would like to work and why, because I like maths, and we also, an important point here, me interesan, because las matemáticas is a plural noun, then we would add the N to me interesa, to become interesan, because it's a plural structure. I've used the además, so in addition to that, quiero, I want to, this is another nice phrase that you could learn. Soy muy inteligente, so I've said about my personal qualities. I've said about some work experience that I did last year. It's not true, obviously. I've just made it up and my opinion of it. And then finally, I've said then that I have a part-time job on a Saturday morning. And I've also mentioned my boss there, mi jefe. It's a useful word to learn if you didn't know it. So if we think about this, this piece of text here and where it links to the themes, it's obviously here in the third column, enterprise employability and future plans. And as I said, you could add more in there. You could even, you could link it to other things as well, or just give a bit more detail on each of these 4 bullet points here. So that's the first example. I'm going to show you another example now. So aquí hay un otro ejemplo. This time, las vacaciones y el turismo, so holidays and tourism. Again, there will be a subject organizer on the WJC site. So this is an example of a role play on holidays and tourism. So talking to your Spanish friend about holidays, say what type of holidays you prefer. Ask your friend what he or she likes to do on holiday. Say what you did last winter holidays and say what you would do on your ideal holiday. So remember, and again, this will be in the session on role plays, what type of holidays you prefer is giving your opinion. Ask your friend what he or she likes to do. You'll have to ask a question. Say what you did last winter holiday, so you've got the past tense there, and say what you would do on your ideal holiday, so you have the conditional future tense there. So that's an example of a role play. I also have an example there. It comes up on the conversation. A written task, so escribe un blog sobre las vacaciones en España, tu opinión de España como destino turístico, lo que hiciste durante tus vacaciones, un país que te gustaría visitar en el futuro. So again, you have your opinion of Spain as a tourist destination, what you did during your holidays last year, so you've got the past tense coming in again, and a country you would like to visit in the future. So very similar to the role play we just saw. And I'm sure your teacher would ask you similar things in a conversation as well. And also here's an example of where it has come up in a translation task in the foundation tier. So, oh sorry, I put the Welsh version here, but it says, I like going on holidays with my family. It's important to travel abroad. Last year, I went to Spain. My favourite town is Madrid, especially in the winter, and I would like to visit Mexico in the future. So you can see again, we've got past tense, future tense, we have opinions, which come up time and time again. So when we come to preparing now, I would do a similar thing. I would just write sentences on various aspects of holidays and tourism, and then make sure you try to bring in maybe a little bit about environment and travel and transport and so on as well. So this is an example. Me encanta ir de vacaciones, especialmente con mi familia. Me gusta mucho descubrir otros países, la cultura y la gastronomía. Además, creo que es divertido perfeccionar el idioma. Normalmente prefiero ir con mi familia, pero estaría bien ir con mis amigos. En vacaciones me gusta relajarme en la playa, me encanta el helado de chocolate. Personalmente diría que el turismo es bueno para la economía de un país, sin embargo, sé que el turismo causa contaminación, especialmente los aviones. Algún día me gustaría visitar Italia porque en mi opinión es un país hermoso y la cocina es deliciosa. So if we look at translating this, I've given my opinion of going on holidays. I've said why I like going on holidays, to discover other countries and cultures and the food. And I like to improve my language skills on holidays as well. And I've said that I prefer to go with my family, but it would be good to go with your friends as well. And what I like to do on holidays is to relax and eat chocolate ice cream. And then I've talked about tourism. I've given a positive that tourism can help the economy of a country, but I've also said as well about tourism causing pollution, especially the airplanes. And then here I've put in a conditional tense that one day I would like to visit Italy, okay? And I've said why. So remember, it's always good to justify your opinions and your points of view. Also here we can see that I've used things like diría que, sé que, algún día. I've given opinions, me gusta, me encanta, además, in addition, personalmente. So again, you can see the same structures coming up over and over again, just in various themes. So here, this one is focusing on the middle column, primarily holidays and tourism, but you saw there was a little bit about environment. And if I were you, I would include a bit more about travel and transport as well, and possibly local and regional features and characteristics of Spain and Spanish-speaking countries. You can put in a bit about, I don't know, wherever you like to visit in Spain, Madrid or Barcelona, or maybe some Latin American countries, just to show some cultural awareness as well of Spain and Spanish-speaking countries. Okay, so that's the second example. So the key message coming from this session today is that if you do reuse and recycle language, there'll be less to learn and to revise, so you'll be happier. There's so much pressure on you all to revise and prepare for your exams. And this is just one Spanish exam, but also you'll have Welsh and English and maths and science and so on, lots and lots to prepare for. So if you can make your life easier by recycling language here, then you will be happier because you'll have less to worry about. So let's give it a go. Vamos. So traduce las siguientes oraciones. Could you translate some of these sentences now? There's just 3 to give it a go. So the first one says, it is important to spend time with the family. So what I suggest you do now is if you pause the recording, you translate the sentence either orally or you could write it down and then check your answer then when you press play on the recording. So here is the answer. Es importante pasar tiempo con la familia. So es importante, we've seen already today. Pasar tiempo is to spend time, and then with the family, con la familia. The second example, we have to work hard in order to succeed. So again, you can pause, and the answer is, tienes que trabajar duro para tener éxito. Instead of tienes que, we could have used hay que or debes que. There are lots of different ways of saying it. They're all pretty similar, with very similar meanings. And then trabajar is to work, duro, para is to, and tener éxito is to have success, to succeed. And then the third one, I'm interested in history. So if you remember, I'm interested in was one of the phrases I put on the useful phrases page on the slide. So here it is. La historia me interesa, or you could switch it around, me interesa la historia, okay? And again, you can switch history for another subject, or la moda, fashion, or jugar videojuegos, playing video games, or anything else, just recycling this phrase me interesa in various situations. And also then I think if I were you, I would have a bank of questions on each of the themes, maybe possibly 6 questions on each of those themes, including asking for opinions, past tense and future tense. And then once you've learned a bank of sentences for those questions, they will be really useful for the role play, for the photo card, for the written exam, for translation. You'll just find that the more you practice, the more you write down, the more information you have in your brain, and you're just able to recycle that then in various situations, okay? So the first question, responde las siguientes preguntas, is, ¿qué te gustaría hacer después del colegio? And again, I would pause if I were you now, try to answer the question, and then have a little look. I've only given one single sentence, but I would suggest you write a lot more than what I've given you. So what would you like to do after school? So I've said, espero estudiar español en la universidad y luego viajar por el mundo. So I hope to, espero, again, one of those useful phrases. Estudiar, to study español en la universidad. Obviously, you can change español to another subject. Y luego then viajar por el mundo, travel around the world. The second question, ¿te gusta viajar? Do you like to travel? So again, pause, answer, and then here is my answer. Sí, me encanta viajar. Es realmente interesante y divertido en mi opinión. And again, it's nice to learn phrases like en mi opinión, realmente. So you have a bank of phrases for opinions. Interesante, divertido. It's good to learn a variety of adjectives. And el dinero es esencial para ser feliz. ¿Estás de acuerdo? So do you agree that money is essential to be happy? So have a little think, write down your answer, or orally give your answer, pause the recording, and then you can play. So here is a possible answer. No, no estoy de acuerdo. Para mí, lo más importante es la familia. And again, we have the para mí, which is really useful, and lo más importante. And remember to learn estoy de acuerdo, no estoy de acuerdo, to say you agree or disagree, because often, primarily in the photo card, but it could come up in other situations as well, saying if you agree or disagree is really important. And remember with these sentences, okay, I've just given a really short answer. I would encourage you to expand your answer and give a much bigger answer with a lot more detail, including opinions, including past tense, future tense, and so on. Okay, so como tener éxito, how to be successful. This is what I recommend, is that you learn a variety of vocabulary and sentences on all of the themes, and this will include nouns, adjectives, and verbs. Also, you need to be able to express an opinion. Remember, there is a whole session on expressing an opinion this year, which you could have a look at. You will need to give positive and negative opinions with justifications. And the justifications are really important because in order to get those top grades, you will need to justify any opinions that you give. And finally, then grammar. There's lots of grammar to learn. For example, how to conjugate verbs using different tenses, how to agree adjectives, and so on. Okay? Also, I advise you to look at the mark schemes in the exams. This is an example of a photo card, but if you look at various mark schemes for the speaking and writing exam, they're all asking you to focus on similar things. So detailed information, extended responses, express and justify thoughts and opinions in detail, excellent language, wide variety of vocabulary and grammatical structures, including complex structures, high level of accuracy, and then references to past, present and future events. So this is the photo card, but if we look at the conversation, it's very similar. And if you look at the writing task, it's again very, very similar. Okay, they're asking for very similar things. So hay algunas preguntas. If you have any questions, you could either put them in the team or you could ask your teachers in school, because I'm sure they would be able to help you out as well. So, and back to the objective, el objetivo, como reciclar el idioma para su uso en el examen oral y escrito. So, how to recycle language for the speaking and writing exams. Hopefully, I've shown you today how to do this, how to prepare for it, to take a theme, to create a bank of vocabulary, and then to recycle those key structures such as es importante and se dice que and personalmente, and just use those then for a variety of different themes, just to save you a little bit of work and a little bit of stress, hopefully. And to finish, I'd like to say buena suerte, good luck. I hope everything goes well for you in the exams in the summer. And for now, adios.